we were able to bring Damian Pascuzzo, who is a world-class golf course architect, designed golf courses all over the world, member of the American Society of Golf Course Architects, past president of the society. Wonder if you can answer a few questions.
Yeah, sure.
The vision for the new course here, how'd that all come about?
A number of years ago, I was speaking at a Urban Land Institute conference. Urban Land Institute's a group of developers from nationwide, and it was specifically about golf course and residential development. And there was a panel of women during part of the conference, and they were talking about how important women are to the buying process in joining a club or a second home community. Women were coming into the sales office and saying, "We like the golf course, but 18 holes is too much for us. Do you have an alternative? 9's not quite enough. 18's too much. Does 13 come back to the clubhouse, or 12?" And it kind of got the wheel spinning a little bit. And so the more I thought about it over the years, I don't know if anybody's been up to play Monarch Dunes up in Napomo, but that's a course Steve and I did. And the second course there was going to be a 9-hole executive golf course, 2 par 4s, 7 par 3s. And we pitched the idea of a 12-hole par 3 golf course. And fortunately, we had a forward-thinking owner at the time, and he jumped on board, and it's been remarkably successful. It's been very well received. I thought maybe the best part of it was that the homes that sold on the challenge course, as we called it, sold for the same premium as the homes on the 18-hole regulation golf course. So people clearly didn't see a distinction between living on one golf course or the other. So we thought that was pretty neat. We must have done something right, because 3 years later, Jack Nicklaus opened up a 12-hole par 3 golf course at Red Ledges in Utah. So we felt a little bit honored and vindicated with it. So that was kind of the start of it. But the more we kept hearing about how things have changed, golf has undergone amazing changes in the last 15 or 20 years. The more we started hearing about how people's lifestyles were changing and how golf had to play a different role for them, this idea of a 12-hole regulation golf course was kind of, floating at the top of our heads there. 12 holes, especially with the configuration. We're right here in the community clubhouse now. There's a 3-hole loop out behind us. We call that the east area. There's a 3-hole loop where you can start and finish. Here's the clubhouse, so that's right out here. And then if you go over the ridge, there's 6 holes back here. So unlike a lot of golf courses that maybe you've played or seen where the holes are all nose to tail, right? They're laid out like a big chain link. In a 9-hole loop, and you got houses on both sides. So this is really a very, I think, a fortuitous meeting of opportunity and thought, because the golf course site lends itself to this concept so beautifully. It's interesting what I'm seeing in my work. I'm working at a number of private clubs where we have introduced forward tees. We played 18 holes in 4 hours today because we're playing up on these forward tees. So time is clearly an important part in almost every one of our lives. So we think that the 12-hole concept and the flexibility within the routing really will address the lifestyle changes that we've seen over the last 10 or 15 years. If you want to play traditional golf, we will have a line on the scorecard that will have the 12 holes and then 6 alternate tees that you can go back and play 6 other holes from different tees. So if you want to post an 18-hole score, you'll be able to do that.
Talk about, just kind of walk the people through, if you would, the layout, how this all came about, what we're doing, and even you might say a little bit more about, the water retention.
Sure. The easy part of this project was routing the 12 holes. The incredibly difficult part of this project has been doing the grading to accommodate the stormwater storage that is required by the county and the engineers. So your golf course right now goes all the way through this area and then comes back here. This is where the new development is going to be. So to get these homes out of the floodplain, we have to take that water and accommodate it somewhere else. So it's all going to happen back here on this area we call the South Basin. So it's the area over the ridge. And back here alone, we have to store 300 acre feet. We actually took advantage of some of the areas that I think are better than what was there before. We've got a couple of holes here pushing up on the hillside, and this par 3, the seventh hole, I think is going to be the most photographed hole. It's the hole where you're going to stand on the green and just linger, because we're up quite high, and you'll be looking out over the whole South Basin and to the west towards the ocean, and it should be absolutely spectacular. The 6 holes that are on this side of the ridge will be something you're more familiar with, what American architects call parkland golf. Wide areas of turf, lots of trees, very much like you're in a park, not link style or anything like that. As we get over into the South Basin, we will have wide fairways and rough areas, but then there will be these mitigation areas that will be in between many of the fairways. So it'll be a little bit more of a natural look between some of those fairways. We think the primary routing is going to be leaving the clubhouse and going across the street and playing 1, 2, and 3, coming back across the street. The 4th hole is going to be right outside the clubhouse. It's actually a par 3 playing towards the clubhouse. 5's going this way, then up over the ridge, and then 6 holes on the back, and then back over the ridge and back over the street, and then 12. It's actually a really cool par 4 around a lake, kind of a shortish par 4, what we would call a drive and a pitch hole. And then, so 12 finishes up right here, and then it's just right back into the clubhouse.
What was envisioned when we talked about 3 holes, 6 holes, 9 holes? Basically, right now, it's a 12-hole golf course. But for example, if you have a ladies group, or if you have a men's club group, let's just say the ladies want to play 6 holes and go have a luncheon. That's perfect for that. And we've tried to work as much variance as you can to give people as many options as you can.
On 18-hole golf courses now, a lot of times, let's say you'll have somebody go off at 10 o'clock, and then maybe not somebody doesn't go off until 10:30 on a Wednesday or something, so there's a gap there. And if somebody wants to play 9 holes, the golf shop will kind of fit them into that gap. But I was just talking to somebody today, and I think this is maybe where we're going to go, because we've been talking a lot about millennials and getting them into golf and how they view golf a little bit differently. I think the smart operator in the future is going to have to be able to do that. It's going to have to give somebody a bag tag with an RFID chip in it or something like that, that every time they pass the flagstick, they've logged another golf hole, and then you pay by the hole or something like that, or it comes right out of your debit card. Just kind of the way like when you order Uber or something, right? It's on your phone, and you pay, your credit card's in there, and it pays for it. So I think that potential exists. It may be 5 or 10 years away, but I definitely think that exists. But I think in traditional terms, we were thinking that people who wanted to play 3 holes or 6 holes were people that were, they're going to sneak out of work at 3 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock and come on out and play a few holes or something like that. Not only was St. Andrews anywhere from 12 to 22 holes at one point, but the very first British Open was played at Prestwick on 12 holes. 18 holes wasn't standardized till 200 or 300 years after the game was founded. There's been a lot of attention to 12 holes because it's non-traditional. But if you look at all the surveys out there of golfers, as what do golfers see, what do they rate highest when it comes to satisfaction? When they come off the golf course, you ask them, what were you happiest about? Number one thing is conditioning. So whether you have 9 holes, 12 holes, or 17 holes, if the golf course is in great condition, people are going to be happy about it, and it'll be successful. I really don't think the number of holes is going to make a big impact on the market. I think it's going to be conditioning and service and fun. Did we have fun on the golf course?